Another quick hop out to the West Coast for the Orange and Blue. Will they tread water or sink into the deep this afternoon? We'll get you set for the Oilers of the Kraken right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Live on location, Boston Pizza, Clairview, where they have this massive screen, 170-incher right behind me. We're going to have a lot of fun. That guy's wearing a Henri Richard jersey. You got a Pat Roy jersey over there as well. There we go. I can go. We've got people trickling in for lunch, taking advantage of the game day specials here at Boston Pizza Clairview. $5 off medium pizzas, $1 off tankers. That's 23 ounces of Molson Canadian and Coors Light. $5.50 shots, Jaeger, Honey Jack, Purple Rain, Burt Reynolds, or Fireball. And, of course, they have their holiday playlist menu. Lots of vodka sauce on the matzo sticks and the chicken penne. I'm going to have to dip into that because I'm getting hungry. You can text us 780-218-9999. You can jump into the nasty chat as well if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends as we welcome in Benny Thomson back at EST Global HQ. Benny, how we doing?
Good. It's been a while since I last talked to you, so it's good to be be finally on the air and get back to working.
Yeah, it's been what? An hour and 4 minutes.
Yep.
I had enough time to get to local downtown and make my way here to BP Clairview, say hello to everybody. Shout out to Lisa and Jaden and the crew and Sarah are here. And yeah, there's some people here having a nice little lunch and we'll enjoy the Oilers game. And I'm sure there's going to be more trickling in. Come on down if you're not doing anything. Join me. There's going to be a lot of prizing given away. There always is. They have tickets up for grabs to an Oilers game here at BP Clairview. Jason and Lisa doing a great job as always. Of course, GCL Diesel, another fine partner of EST, providers of the best diesel engine components around, turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. All right, Benny, let's take a look at this game today. The Oilers went home for a brief reprieve. Yep. Back on the road. I mean, they've got a 5-gamer in December coming up, but a lot of home games after that. A lot of theories on this team, a lot of discussion, a lot of frustration. Understandably so. The last time they played, they got their asses kicked by the Dallas Stars 8-3, and people were a little bit spicy about that.
Yeah, to say the least. It's I don't want to say this is a redemption game because we've talked enough about redemption. Like we've talked about, all right, let's turn this around. Like to me, it's just let's just see if they can get back on their feet. They had 2 solid efforts before that Dallas game, and then I've been hearing around the station that maybe we're critiquing those actual efforts. Were they actually good efforts? Were they actually good games from the Oilers? I still stand on the belief that they were. To me, the high shot account against the Oilers was pretty much all outside shots. I feel like they did a pretty good job of limiting the high danger chances for their own net. But then that went all to the trash against the Dallas Stars on Tuesday night at home, which was not great to see. Let's see if they can kind of get back to what they were doing in the state of Florida there for those 2 games. Don't know if I'm confident in it, but I guess we'll see.
Yes, the play of the team at 10-10-5 has sent Oil Country into a tizzy, varying degrees of frustration, varying levels of critique, differing opinions as always. One thing we can tell you with certainty is that, yes, the team is trying to improve, and it is talking to other teams to see where it can improve. No, nothing is imminent. I was told yesterday that no trades were pending. However, discussions continued, and there have been all kinds of wild rumors in regard to potential trade targets. But Dave Pagnotta was on Hello Hockey with us. And what did he tell us, Benny?
He said there's like some interest, but don't expect anything too soon. Or if it does happen, it will be kind of shocking. Something had to have picked up really quick. But yeah, it just does not seem like there's a whole lot of guys that would make the right fit with the money and the capital that the Oilers have. Obviously, I feel like it's wrong to say I agree with him. It's just logic. If you look at it, you don't. The Oilers just don't have a whole lot of room and just available goalies to them to make the change. So I don't expect a change coming, at least probably till the trade deadline, which even then that's a stretch. But right now it doesn't look like they got a guy right now.
No. I was told when I asked for a gauge of the environment around the team, hockey ops, the actual team, the literal team down in the locker room and stuff. And I was told that the attitude is workmanlike, and everybody believes the answer is in the room. And to a lot of outsiders and fans of the team, that probably is not to their satisfaction. I was a little bit surprised by it, to be honest, but that's what I was told. So until that changes, that's the vibe check I got this week. I think that was on Thursday where I chimed in and was like, so tell me how things are going.
Yeah. And
that was the response.
I think Stan still believes that, like obviously what you've been saying, like Stan believes that, this team that's went to the Cup final back-to-back years deserves more of a runway. And I don't fully. I mean, I was in mind of that. I was in the same mind of that for majority of the season. But to me, it's the 3 embarrassing losses that changes everything. Like those, if they lost those games against Dallas and Colorado and Buffalo in close games, I don't know if I feel the same way. But it's because it's the way it happened. It's the way that they got just flat out embarrassed on their home ice twice. To me, is why I'm in favor of a shakeup. In some sort of fashion. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make a move for someone or you have to fire a guy. Just something needs to change in that locker room. And so who knows, maybe I'm wrong and some fans are wrong about needing to change, but right now it just doesn't seem like they're firing on all cylinders right now.
Listen, I'll just say this. I think they still have a lot of talented and good NHL players that should be able to perform better and get better results.
100%.
So I understand the sentiment of we believe that the answer is in the room. I get it, but go do it. They just haven't done it, and we're going into game 26 here. And I think that has a lot to do with the frustration you're feeling. In oil country, tensions are high, and people are pissed off and get mad at anything and everything, as we have seen. All right, let's get into your lineups as we get set for the Oilers and Kraken. Today, I should say, the Oilers 10-10-5, the Kraken 11-6-6. By the way, we're going to hear from Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network. It has been so busy, Benny, and tight turnarounds that I had Benton on yesterday. We pre-recorded the hit, but Mike, a wealth of knowledge as always. All right, here's what we're anticipating from the Oilers. If anything changes during warm-up, we'll pass this along to you. McDavid between Savoy and Hyman. Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Mangiapane. Nugent-Hopkins between Henrique and Janmark Lazar with Frederick and Clattenburg. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Regula, Kulak with Emerson. No David Tomaszek expected this afternoon. As for the Kraken, Matty Beniers between Mason Marchment and Jordan Eberle. Chandler Stevenson centering Jared McCann and Eli Tolvanen. Frederick Gaudreau between Berkeley Catton and Capo Caco. Shane Wright between Ty Cartier and Ryan Winterton. On defense for Seattle, Vince Dunn and Adam Larson. Good pairing there. Ryan Lindgren with Brandon Montour. Always liked Brandon Montour. I thought he would look good in orange and blue. Good signing by the Kraken. Then you've got Riker Evans paired up with Jamie Alexiak. Starting goalies, we anticipate 27-year-old Stu Skinner to get the nod. I know that Knobloch spoke about 25 minutes ago. Did he announce a goaltender? Do we have that yet, Benny?
I haven't seen anything yet. Been looking around. Might have popped up in the past couple of minutes, but I'd imagine Stu, like you were saying.
It's Stu. It is Stu. That is confirmed. So Stu Skinner getting the nod. 8-7-3 on the season. 318 goals against average. 878 save percentage. 1 shutout in 18 games this year. Skinner versus the Kraken. 8-3 record. 294 goals against average. 899 save percentage, 11 games played versus Seattle over the course of his career. And then at the other end of the rink, we're anticipating 29-year-old Joey Decord, 7-4-4 this season, 259 goals against average, 906 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 15 games in 25-26. Lifetime versus the Oilers, Decord's numbers not so great, 2-6-1 with a 333 GAA, 894 save percentage in 9 games versus the Oil. That takes us to the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. Connor McDavid's got a bag or a team of specialists. You've got a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Jack Roslovic, that one hurts. Undisclosed a few weeks for Roslovic. Hopefully it's less than that, but that was announced recently. Jake Wallman, undisclosed. Noah Philp, LTIR, upper body. Kasperi Kapanen suffering a setback at practice as well. That's a knee issue for Kapanen. As for Seattle, Jaden Schwartz, that was announced yesterday. Lower body, he's out for a while. He's a bit of an Oilers killer, so some good news for the Orange and Blue. And then Matt Murray's been on IR as well. Okay, before we get to Matt Kassian, I think he's finishing up his lunch. Kassian, are you finishing up your lunch? He's thumbs up. I have some stats. Okay, he's good. Let me throw these stats out as we get set. You could bring Cass in, but I'm going to throw these stats out. It's from our good buddy Brian Swainer with he's got the good digs when it comes to the stats. He says some pregame stats for you. Historically, teams that are outside of a playoff spot at U.S. Thanksgiving, which was this Thursday, go on to make the postseason less than a quarter of the time. The Oilers, however, have done it 40% of the time, 8 out of 20, including each of the last 3 years. Other times they've made playoffs when not in a spot at U.S. Thanksgiving, 1979-80, 1990-91, 1991-92. Those 2 years they went to conference finals. 97-98 and 99-2000. Swainer throws this in. Over the past 3 seasons, the Oilers have averaged 7 wins in their first 8 games out of the Thanksgiving break. 6-2-0 in 2022, 8-0-0 in 2023. That was the 16-game winning streak. And then 7-1-0 in 2024. So Brian Swain with some clutch stats there. Always appreciate it, Swainer. If you're watching or listening, thank you, sir. Keep those coming. Hopefully we have something for the post-game show as well. There he is. There's Matt Kassian. How was your U.S. Thanksgiving? A large contingent of your family is American. Your lovely wife is from Texas. How did it go, Cass?
It was good. We didn't. There's enough kids' activities that just operate as normal here in Canada. So it was still like kids' activities night. So we had a little power skating for the middle. There was, I think, a little swimming for one of the other ones, and so we're all over the place. So we'll do little celebrations, but we do the bigger celebration in October just because family here is closer. So it was more just interacting with people and family down in the States and sending them messages and having chats with them, which is really what it's about anyways. It's not just about having big meals. It's about just sharing thoughts of thankfulness and appreciation with one another in a lot of ways. So there was lots of messages and texts and calls, and then a little bit of football on the old television as well. I was driving back from Lethbridge, watching the CHL prospects versus the U.S. team, NTDP. I always get the acronym wrong. The U.S. National Development Program, NDPT. I don't know, ND something, whatever, versus the CHL top prospects. So it was a little bit of a drive back in the morning, and then catch up on work, and then watch some football, and then just all the family stuff. So it was, it was good.
Excellent. Lots of football. I lost all my bets, and that's okay. I used my game sense, and I quit because I'm on a heavy losing streak. Yes, Benny.
Cass, could you possibly turn down your mic if possible? It's for some reason it was jacked up on this.
She's
one.
hot.
Yeah,
she is hot.
Move it a little further away, and we'll see.
Okay.
No, you sound lovely. Your voice is wonderful as always. You can text us 780-218-9999. A couple texts to get to before we dive into Game Changers. Rowdy Roddy making a reappearance. Good to hear from Rowdy Roddy. Says, looking good, guys. Oil need to turn this around. Confidence is huge. Love the pre and post game. Your pal, Rowdy Roddy. This one says, hey, Tommy, do you think things could be shaken up if the Oilers lay another stinker today? I don't know how much it changes things in terms of their situation. It cranks up the heat a little bit more, I think, and people get more frustrated and annoyed. But I don't know if it speeds anything up process-wise. We had Dave Pagnotta on, obviously very dialed in around the National Hockey League, one of the best insiders, and he just says, yeah, I mean, they can talk, and there has been talks, but there's nothing that's imminent. That's the same thing I was told yesterday from people within the organization. And then this text says, nobody call out Edmonton media today. Tommy definitely fired up the Oilers. You know what? If it helps some players play better, I don't give a crap. My feelings aren't hurt. Who cares? This is what we do for our job. We talk about the damn teams. But people getting a kick out of social media posts, so whatever. It's a nothing burger. Cass, anything further to that, or do you want to dive into game changers?
People sometimes need to put some big boy pants on, and
yeah,
I mean, whatever. It's just a whatever, as you said, nothing burger. Whatever.
Nothing. Yeah. Let's get into game changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He's community driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, damonbunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass in. Good to have Cass back. Let's go to point number 1 today. Cass against the Seattle Kraken. Nuge in.
Well, he's back. Been a little bit. Little wonky in the head. Little concussion protocol, keeping Nuge out of the lineup, and now he's back. I think emotionally this is a good thing for the team. I think it's emotionally good that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is back. I think that, for as much as he at times struggled in the early season, he is a big part of this group. Not just in the power play. I think if we're talking about importance on the power play, he's 4th or 5th. The power play can completely be successful without him. It doesn't overly impact that power play. He does add some depth to your lineup, which has been impacted by further injuries, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. But listen, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been a guy that's been around through the good times and the bad times. And I think I don't want to say he's not like a Corey Perry emotional driver in that locker room on the ice, but players just know he's going to be pretty consistent from an effort standpoint and from an output standpoint. Like he's generally really, really reliable, and he has a calming influence, I would say, on the bench and in the room for a room that's probably a little bit or a lot on eggshells currently. So I like that he's back in the lineup, not just from a play standpoint, but I think from an emotional and a leadership standpoint, he's a big part of that. So guys, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins being back in the lineup this afternoon for the matinee, I think is an important thing. Hopefully an emotional driver towards the positive for the Edmonton Oilers.
Benny, how do you look at the Nuge coming back?
Yeah, like Cass said, I mean, like it's he's a leader in that room, and not necessarily like Cass was saying, with a loud guy in the room, but just he goes out there, he's consistent. He's kind of like Hyman in that sense, where just like he kind of puts his head down but works his ass off and tries to be a good example for the rest of his teammates, which I think they probably need. He's a guy that I think they've missed on that power play. I don't know the numbers in the past couple of games, but to me, it just hasn't looked the same with Adam Henrique there or whoever they kind of throw in that spot in that bumper position. So I think they'll welcome him back there. The PK as well, like he helps out there a lot as well. So, and I think back to the Dallas game, a lot of people are saying like, oh, like when you're having to throw Matt Savoy out there on a 5-on-3, what does that say about this team? Adam Henrique was in the box and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was hurt. Obviously, I think Nuge would be the first guy to go out there in those 5-on-3s. So they'll hopefully they're not in a 2-man deficit on the ice tonight. But if they are, Nuge would be the first guy thrown out there. So it's a big addition to this lineup.
A hearty hello to VR Montenegro and his lovely wife Ginger, who are here at Boston Pizza Clairview. Come on down, take advantage of the game day specials. $5 off medium pizzas. $1 off tankards of Molson Canadian and Coors Light, $5.50 shots if you're feeling randy on this Saturday afternoon. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Point number 1 was the Nuge being back in. Point number 2, Jack out. And this is a stinger for Oilers fans.
Ooh, talk about a stinger. Now, we knew he was a little banged up after blocking that shot. Looks like there's a broken bone in there somewhere, something that's going to need a little bit of time to heal. And I can tell you with almost absolute certainty, without being a doctor, that that's most likely what it is.
Shoot.
Blocking a shot. You don't say weeks if it's just like a bruise. It's like, something's cracked that's going to need some time to actually physically heal here. So this is a pretty big blow. I mean, Roslovic has been I would say almost their most consistent forward, even more consistent in a lot of ways than McDavid and Draisaitl on a night-to-night basis the last couple of weeks, to say the least. That impacts your lineup. And yes, you get Nuge back, but it feels like, and it's one of those, like, when it rains, it pours. One of those things, like, if something can't go wrong, it will go wrong. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. Nuge starts to come back, and now Roslovic is hurt and out of the lineup. So another bit of adversity here for this Oilers group that has been pretty nicked up over the start of the season to begin with. Just another thing to overcome here with Roslovic being out, who has been pretty consistently threatening, been by far and away the most willing, and maybe not from a purely number standpoint, and maybe this is just observational, but he's been the most willing to shoot from the high danger areas.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he hasn't passed up those shots. So it's not like he has the most shots in the team, but I feel like if we were to do percentage of time shooting when he should shoot, and if that was a stat, he's probably the highest on the team right now, where he actually puts the puck towards the net, and it's found some success because of it. Big loss here for this guy. So how is this group going to react when not everything's going wrong, but when things are going wrong, the play hasn't been great. You just got spanked at home. You're back on the road again after just being on the road for what felt like 8 million years. Just kind of adds onto that reasons guys can look at this and feel sorry for themselves, but they're not in a position where they can or should feel sorry for themselves. So it's an interesting setup here with Nuge coming back and with Roslovic being out. But guys, it's just, would you guys say, so here's a question for you, because I thought about saying this and I'm like, I don't know if I am there yet, but would you say after Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, after Leon Draisaitl and after Connor McDavid, would Roslovic be the number 3 guy where they're hurt the most by him not being in the lineup right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's tied for second in team in goals.
Yep.
Like you said, he's one of the few shooters. And he's been good. I mean, he's motivated. He wants that next contract. He's hungry. That could be mutually beneficial. Sometimes that's a good thing. Hello, Sarah and Cal in the park joining us.
I was going to say,
Sorry,
that's
go ahead.
he's shooting in the high danger shots because he wants those goal totals up so he can make that money. That's why he's shooting, and that's great for the Oilers. Fine. That's great for the Oilers. No problem with all of that. And then with Zach Hyman kind of getting back from injury and having, it's going to take him a little bit to get going. Yeah, I think 100%. Jack Roslovic is their third most dangerous forward on this team right now, and they're losing him for a little bit. So, yeah, it's not ideal.
Have your say. Text us 780-218-9999. Jump into the chat over on YouTube as well. Of course, Game Changers with Cass brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1 was Nuge in. Point number 2, Jack out. Point number 3, no excuses left, Matt Kassian.
No, there can't be any left. I mean, we've had all the excuses, and I made some for them. And even if I throw back to some of the things you guys were talking about, even before I came on, and where people's frustration is on this team, and the Benny, I know how you're feeling about the team being blown out and losing at home. And losing in that fashion. The Dallas game, I just don't care. And I know people don't like to hear that, but that one and they hate hearing the words like scheduled loss. But to me, I'm like, that's one of the toughest games of the year to actually win. If you look at the schedule, it just is after that long road trip. They're not superhuman. They try to be, they're not. And with that being said, you've kind of had a build up now where you've had lots of excuses. You've had lots of things you could look at, but the time for excuses is gone.
Yeah.
Right. The time for excuses is gone here. Now you've had a couple days rest. Right. And yes, you're having someone out of the lineup in Roslovic, but you're getting Nuge back. Other teams are dealing with injuries as well. So you can't use injuries as an excuse. You can't use rest as an excuse. You just had a couple days to recover. Can't use practice time as an excuse. You just had a couple days to practice. You can't I mean, what's left? Is it, it's a matinee game? Like you run that as an excuse? Like there's no excuses left here for this team to step into a game and to just play and play well. So this could be one that is a little bit more indicative than of where they're at, because they did build up some good momentum towards the end of that trip. Played well in Tampa. There were some good games in the trip. They had a good game in Carolina. They beat Florida. You come back home excited with that win, and then you get shellacked by Dallas. Again, I would have liked a better showing, but I'm not surprised that they lost. Now, what do we come back with today? what do we come back with today? Is a group and as a team?
Good point.
Are they buying into all those excuses? Are they finding new ones, or are they actually just going to batten down the hatches and go to work here? So it should be we would call this like a lunch pail road type of game, where it's like you don't want to see them try to do too much. Just go out and do everything you need to. Like, just keep it simple. Work your tail off, battle in front of the nets, play hard, play physical if you get an opportunity, and go out and win a hockey game, because Seattle plays tight at home. They don't give up a lot, so it could be a frustrating game if you let it be frustrating. Yeah. So the type of attitude that they come into this one with, guys, is going to make a massive difference either for or against them.
The Kraken 6-2-3 at home, and Edmonton 5-8-3 on the road. And listen, man, just if whatever they need to motivate themselves, play fired up, angry, pissed off at whoever, that's fine. Go do it. Go do it. You're almost 30 games into the season. All right, let's dive into the inbox. This is a question for Cass. Comes from Rowdy Roddy, who's back. Good to hear from him. He says, can you ask Cass how a team gets out of a sluggish, terrible, sour state? Is it locker room talk? Is it practice intensity, or in-game? Something that sparks it, should I say. Usually something small that sparks something. Your pal, Rowdy Roddy.
Roddy, the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Okay.
It could be a number of different things. And generally it's a combination of different things. I would say it's a combination of pretty much everything you said, plus usually an intangible moment. So, there's a locker room mentality and the talk. There's the executing well in practice and bearing down and starting to build some confidence through execution. There's quite literally just putting your nose down and working through it and sticking to it, and all the cliches of sticking with the process, doing the right little things, and then the good things will start to happen. The work for your bounces, like all the hockey cliches, just give it 110%. All those things need to happen to help bust you out of a slump. And then sometimes it's just the intangible on top of that. So it's like it takes all those things plus an intangible. Now, sometimes the intangible can be a hit. Sometimes it can be a fight. Sometimes it can be a goal. Sometimes it can be a save. Sometimes it can be like a combination of a couple of those things in a comeback win. Sometimes it can be, getting a freak lucky bounce off of somebody and in the net that just kickstarts to where you get some momentum, puts you in a place where you didn't maybe deserve to be, but it gets you there anyway. So a healthy bounce from physics. So there's all kinds of things that go into it. So yeah, my answer is yes. It's all those things. And sometimes depending on the group, it's a little more one than the other. If you have a group that has, veteran vocal leadership guys that are willing to lead the way, sometimes it's more about that. If it's a younger group that doesn't have that, sometimes it's someone just grabbing the bull by the horns, and it's, a player like McDavid just popping off and having a crazy game. Sometimes it's a goaltender just battening down the hatches and just being great for one night. Like it could be a number of different things in different teams and different scenarios. But I would say the constant through all of them, is that dumb hockey cliche. You got to stick with the process. And that's just something this team hasn't done defensively nor offensively this season.
This one from Brad Marchand, of all people, in the nasty chat says they need a hilarious guy who keeps the mood light off the ice and everyone wants to kill on the ice.
That's helpful. That's helpful. There's a reason we call Jay Milne the glue guy at the station, right? Like that's you need guys that pull everyone together. You need guys that are willing to do that, right? That are light in the locker room. And there's a time to keep things light, and you need to have those guys. And there's a time not to, like where you have to keep it serious and keep it together and not be joking around. And players that are good at that, they find a way. And I think Corey Perry is a perfect example of a player that does that, where it is generally pretty light. And then, sometimes when it's time to step up, he will step up. And he's got a pretty good feel about, trying to pull people into it and emotionally in a game, manipulating that emotion a little bit. And you're hoping for Edmonton, it's young in his career, but a player like Clattenburg can kind of find that. I hope Frederick finds it because we know he's going to be here a lot longer too.
Yeah.
But those guys and that line in general, like the Lazar, Frederick, Clattenburg, like that's the line you want to do that. Is like be light in the room with that group, and then out on the ice, just vicious every time they're out there, like just mean, hard to play against, driving everybody nuts. I kind of, we didn't talk about it, but I'm kind of excited for that line a little bit to see like if they can get up to speed and actually, I feel they have the potential there in a limited number of minutes to have a real impact on the feel of a game. So I'm kind of excited to see them.
Shout out to Lisa from Boston Pizza Clairview, who is listening on her phone right now as we get set for the Oilers and the Kraken. I'll ask you one last thing. We do need to get to Mike Benton, who I spoke to yesterday, so it is pre-tape. But Cass, 10-10-5, and Benny, actually, both of you, is this being overblown, or is the panic, anger, frustration legitimate and valid at this point, considering where the team is at? Although, and there's always this caveat, and I've always brought it up all season long, they're still kind of right there.
Yeah, not out of it yet. I think it's such a nuance to that question, because yes, it's overblown, but no, it's not overblown. I think the emotions and the emotions and the feelings. Well, no, I'm gonna clarify.
I'm teasing.
Yeah, well, I'm going to clarify, Tommy.
Okay.
The emotions and the frustration are not overblown based on what we know this team should be able to do. Those are not overblown.
Right.
Now, the solution reactions that people have are overblown. Right? So there's two. Like, I think the frustration is real and should be, because this team has been nowhere close to as good as we know that they are capable of. So that frustration, I'm like, yeah, that'd be frustrated with that. Absolutely. Be upset about that. Absolutely. But to tell me that you're going to fire the coach and the other coaches and the GM and trade 2 goalies and 3 defensemen and 3 forwards, and that's the solution.
Unrealistic.
That's a little overblown. Like, and I'll go back to it from Colorado traded 2 goalies last year. They traded 2 goalies last year, so you should be able to trade 2 goalies this year. Like, that's not the same situation. That's not a realistic, real valid solution. So your solution to that is completely overblown, or the expectation of the solution is overblown. Like the expecting them to make a massive, huge, big move at any minute. That is probably a little bit overblown. Frustration real, reaction to it or solution is overblown.
Oil Country Dragon Slayer 69 begs to differ, and his sources tell all of us that they're going to trade 1 million guys on this team and come back and win the Stanley Cup. That's a joke, and that's a Bo Nix thing that popped up a couple of weeks ago. Benny, what's your take on this before we go to Mike Benton?
Cass laid it out well. I think it's, the Oilers, it's the feeling around how they've been losing, right? We talked about it on Hello Hockey literally just an hour ago or an hour and a half ago about how it's like, there hasn't been any games this year where the Oilers have been like, where they lost and you're like, they deserved better. They deserve to win that one. But we've talked about a lot of wins where we're like, okay, they very well should have lost tonight. So I think that feeling has led to a lot of the frustration. We just passed American Thanksgiving, and I think Oilers fans and the Oilers themselves should be thankful that no one has ran away in the Pacific Division. I mean, the Ducks are at 31 points right now, which is 6 ahead of the Oilers, 1 game in hand. That's not as bad as if they were in the Central Division, where Colorado's at 40, and the Dallas Stars at 36. Right, like the Pacific Division is really tight with a lot of teams that are struggling. So they're lucky in the sense of this team that no other team around them in the division has really taken off necessarily. But at the same time, though, it's up to them if they are going to catch the Ducks. It's completely up to them. Like the third point there in Game Changers, there's no more excuses. Let's go. You're past that first quarter mark of the year. You guys should be well in the shape of playing some good regular season hockey. Let's get it going.
Cass, anything else?
Let's see, fellas. Roll the D100. What version of this team are we going to get tonight? Let's see. But I'm not as upset and freaking out as much as a lot of people are after the Dallas game, but this is going to be a telling game kind of for where they're at post road trip.
All right, great game changers as always. Cass will catch up with you on the post game show.
Sounds good, everybody.
There's our game analyst Matt Kassian from his satellite studios, getting us set for the Oilers. The Kraken this afternoon. We're live on location, Boston Pizza, Clareview. Come on down, join us like Cal in the Park and Ginger and VR Montenegro and Sarah, and hopefully a few more swing by and take advantage of these game day specials. What are you giggling about over there?
Should I roll D100?
Sure, roll it. What,
okay,
what meaning does 1 to 50 have?
2 seconds.
Well, no, you know what, Benny? No. Oh, God. Don't worry about the D100. I thought you had it right there.
I
it's
thought
a silly thing.
And I realized it did.
Yeah, let's get to Mike Benton. Had a chance to catch up with him yesterday in preparation for today's game. Here he is from the Kraken Audio Network, our good friend and buddy, Mike Benton. Pleased to be joined by Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network as we get set for another meeting between the Oilers and the Seattle Kraken. And it's an afternoon tilt, Mike, which the Oilers actually have been better at recently in recent years, but have struggled certainly this year. How do the Kraken handle afternoon games?
Yeah, good question, because we're still kind of in the infancy of this, Tom. And, I kind of go back to the most recent stretch where they had a game, at 2 p.m. Pacific, but it was on Long Island. So you're talking about 5 p.m. And so factoring in travel, they're already well into it. It really didn't make much of a difference. And, I kind of look at this more from the standpoint of how better can they be on, say, a back-to-back situation. But this is going to be interesting, I think, coming up, because it won't be the first time, that they see these kind of games. They'll have a few more down the road here in the afternoon time frame. But I think, to me, it ultimately goes back to how well can they manage a change of direction, a change of routine, a change of pace under Lane Lambert. And the reason is there's a certain system in place that is designed to grind opponents right into the ice. It is tight checking. It is disciplined. It is shutdown oriented. And so far, what we're seeing when they have to face a change of direction, if they can't get wins out of it, they're in hockey games. And I use the Islander game here as an example when they were on their second leg of back-to-back. And they were already emptying the tank. They couldn't generate much. They couldn't finish much as well. And, for much of overtime, they were buckled, right back into their own zone against what just, felt like a torrential downpour of Islanders pressure. Yet goaltending sustained them. And for the most part, recently, they're keeping shots here to the outside. So, kind of putting this all into picture, when you have a certain structure in place, and by now you've got players memorizing this down pat, back of their hand by heart, it really helps with going from a 7 o'clock game to a 1 p.m. game, because you have a roadmap that is essentially ingrained in your brain here. Mm-hmm. So I like their chances when they can play this certain way. And it doesn't matter the opponent here. It doesn't matter the certain time frame. It really all depends upon, how a disciplined and structured can they be here by, adhering to their system.
Mike, one thing that's kind of popped up with the Oilers, and we're looking at this matchup going into it on Saturday, the goal differential for Edmonton, a -18, for Seattle, a -3, but Edmonton scored a lot more goals and allowed a lot more goals than the Kraken. So is it safe to say tomorrow's game or Saturday's game is going to be a low scoring affair with a lot of defensive regroups and then maybe a couple of good saves mixed in? How do you kind of look at that?
I'll put it to you this way. If we're counting on a 7-6 hockey game, I would likely maybe take a walk all the way home back to where I live north of Seattle from Everett. I might just walk home because I mean, in a game like this, I think by now with what you have in a Kraken team that plays to their certain system, their style, it is, again, a very low-scoring affair. It is grinding opponents right down into the ice, as I said. And it really becomes even more of an importance to disrupt what Edmonton can do when they can get going with their speed. If you take a penalty, then you're really playing with fire here. So I think more and more of, just how this game is lined up, just I think by two ways. Number one, there's I think a certain routine that they've already set in how they play. And I think number two, just based on the factor of the opponent, you don't want to get McDavid going. You don't want to get Draisaitl going. Now, beyond that, that's a different conversation because there's been a ton of injuries and inconsistency issues here with, the Oilers, other teams. But that's ultimately, I think, the two big fish that you got to take care of is, of course, 97 and 29. They have hurt the Kraken over and over. And depending upon when Chris Knobloch may want to load them up, we'll see how the Kraken react there. But, I go back and think of the previous game and how much they were able to handle Edmonton that night. And they kept McDavid silent. For the most part, they kept Draisaitl silent. He had a helper on Evan Bouchard's goal. But matchups helped the Kraken in this case, I think. McDavid saw a healthy dose of Beniers. Stevenson's getting his share of top matchups as well. So that could factor in too. So, again, 3-2, 2-1. That might be your norm for this game and for the duration of this season on the Kraken side. And if it's 7-6, well, then call me shocked. I might pass out post game.
Hey, there's a bunch of Oiler fans that hear that and go, oh, God, another boring game. There's been a lot of them this season that haven't been as entertaining as one would desire the games to be, but that's okay. 2 points is 2 points, and you got to play for them. Anyway, we're joined by Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network. Okay, the injury bug has bit the Oilers recently. Jack Roslovic nicked up. We're going to see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins make a return. Kasperi Kapanen was supposed to come back, Mike, but he suffered a setback in practice a couple of days ago. What's the latest from the Kraken side of things? Because there was some tough news that came out late in the week.
Jaden Schwartz, first off, will not play. In fact, matter of fact, he's going to miss 6 weeks now with a lower body injury. And it happened against Dallas, Tom, where he was tied up at the front of the Dallas net against Casey DeSmith. And for whatever, weird way, he and Vladislav Kolyachonok, were able to get themselves tangled up. It began to, I think, tweak the leg of Jaden Schwartz, and it did not look good from an overhead angle. Second period, did not return, and he's going to be on the shelf here for the next 6 weeks, we're told, as of this morning. Capo Kakko is a name to be on the watch here on the Kraken side. He previously missed the last several games, lower body injury, was knocked out of the Winnipeg game, matter of fact. He's been making a steady climb back toward a return, was in a red non-contact jersey on Wednesday, and then on Friday came back in a regular practice jersey and was also taking line rushes with Berkeley Catton and Freddie Gaudreau as well. I would be surprised if he doesn't play in this game coming up, which would be a big add because he's only got 7 games in this season, was knocked out, of course, in the preseason game at Edmonton, took a while to get back and get revved up offensively, and then he scored kind of a copyright Capo Kakko goal, got in the shot lane, stick on puck, midair, knocked it in for a goal, all of a sudden was knocked out next period due to injury, and here we are back starting all over again. So other than that, this is as healthy as I've seen the Kraken in their lineup. They've had to take a turn with Freddie Gaudreau out for a little bit. Jared McCann just came back as well. McCann was the biggest loss, I would argue, just for the obvious reasons. He gives you goal scoring. And last year, 22 goals, that was thought of as a down year for him. And he's had 40 previously for his career. But it didn't take long for him to really get into the mix. Played I thought first few shifts like he was shot out of a cannon. And then first shift, poor guy got a high stick right in the face. He joked with me that he felt like he almost swallowed his tooth. Came right back. Literally 2 shifts later, almost scored a goal and looked great playing with Berkeley Catton and Shane Wright. Catton had a lot of great things to say, and then the Schwartz injury happened, and then Lane Lambert had to shuffle the lines here. So, for all intents and purposes, aside from that, Matt Murray being out, they've been very, very sustained in net with Joey Decord and Philip Grubauer. And the Kraken are finally, I think, seeing some light at the end of the tunnel with their lineup. And I think combining that with how they play, that's boding pretty well for them here early on.
All right, Mike, when it comes to strength of schedule, the Oilers have had a tough one. As for the Kraken, how would you sum up the opponents that they've faced? How good do they feel about where they're at right now in the standings? Because there's been a big mushy middle. What's the outlook like, and how has it gotten to this point for the Kraken?
Well, there's two schools of thought on this here, Tom. And I understand when people want to argue that they still have a lot more to prove because it is kind of like a mushy middle. We often think of the Thanksgiving checkpoint as a benchmark for playoff teams versus non-playoff teams. And it's different this year because there's a lot more overtime, shootout, loser points baked into this equation. But this is the NHL here for 2025 and 26. I will argue this, that number one, they're on pace here for a 99-point season here at this point. That's second best in franchise history. But also when you factor in, there hasn't been much of a change on their roster. The only massive change, basically, aside from, again, the pieces that they added around the edges with Ryan Lindgren, Mason Marchment, Matt Murray, the biggest change was behind the bench here in Lane Lambert. So coaching has done more than its fair share of really swinging this pendulum back in the Kraken favor here for this season. And I understand if you want to look at this maybe skeptically versus what Anaheim is doing with their talent they have that is growing tenfold before our very eyes. San Jose with the talent that they have, Chicago, the talent that they have as well. But I will ask folks here to consider this. This schedule this year in the NHL is much more condensed than usual because of the Olympic break. And we're seeing an uptick of injuries all across the league. And I'm calling this here not to be a homer because I'm, of course, a host on the Kraken radio side, but this is reality. The more and more that you have a condensed schedule, it means less rest time. It means more practice time as well. And when you factor in a team that has already gotten here to this point without a full healthy roster, Gaudreau out, McCann out, now Jaden Schwartz out, Capo Caco out. Goaltending is sustaining this roster here at this point. Best 5-on-5 save percentage in the entire league. Every year we talk about this. How much does goaltending make a big difference? You're seeing it right now. They haven't played their best in some cases. They still got 2 points and won. So I think you have to factor at this point, if you want to consider this, here's why the Kraken could be the real deal if they aren't already. They've gotten this far because of the injury situation. They've gotten this far because they haven't played their best in some cases, and they've been trailing in the upper as far as shot attempts, 5-on-5, high danger scoring chances, etc. here. But also, I go back here to the schedule part of this. When you have a team that plays with the rigidity and the structure they have, and you have bodies in, bodies out, how does that weigh against opponents who would now begin to worry when their star players or their top 6 guys begin to get hurt? And it levels the playing field a little bit more. And this is why they had this system put in place from the get-go. It sustains a lineup that loses bodies due to injury. So at this point, again, I argue for the most part, you are who you are. And we're seeing this right now out of the Kraken. And I think that they've got the pieces in place here to really be in this mix for the long haul.
All right, Mike Benton with us from the Kraken Audio Network. Does anybody call you Mike Kraken? I'm sorry.
In joking manner.
Yeah. So anyway, let's look at this game when it comes to what we're going to see between the Oilers and the Kraken. Mike, what will be the strategy for Seattle against an Edmonton team that has had a lot of peaks and valleys this year? Unfortunately, the valleys have been pretty steep. The peaks have been modest at best, I would say. But when you're looking at this matchup from a Seattle standpoint, how do they assess it?
Number one, it's to prevent McDavid and Draisaitl from getting going. And that is above everything else. We said so here for the last matchup as well. And I think underneath that, how well can the Kraken adhere to their structure at 5-on-5, disrupt matters in the neutral zone? I mean, Edmonton, they've got a lot of good puck carriers, and we've read about how much they've tried to modify the way they play with stretch passes as well. But I talked with Ryan Lindgren about this the other day over at practice. And, again, it really goes back to disrupting what they want to do back at the neutral zone. And the more and more that they can play that way with their system, the better off they're going to be. The Kraken will have, of course, the advantage here in matchups. That's a big factor, just like in this last time. I think other than that, Edmonton, they can get going again on the power play, and that's been a big thing against the Kraken. That's really hurt their cause in these last several matchups. And the last time they faced Edmonton, The Oilers had just 2 power play chances, still scored once, which should certainly tell you something here. But again, we'll see if it's going to be Skinner or Pickard. It was Skinner last time in net, and we've dissected this whole thing with goaltending in 16 different directions here. So I think depending upon how much they can get their game revved up here in period 1, and we'll see if they can catch someone napping. That's a big thing, because if Skinner gets going, if Pickard gets going, it can certainly change, I think, the dynamic here of this game.
Mike, I look forward to seeing what happens on the ice in Seattle, and I always appreciate your time. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Tommy. Always appreciate you.
Big thank you to Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network there for hopping on. Yesterday, we pre-recorded that, obviously. Tight turnaround with Hello Hockey earlier today, and then making my way down here to Boston Pizza, Clairview, where I'm live on location. We've got some nasties behind me. You can see Cal in the park, and Ginger, and VR Montenegro, and Sarah are here, and a bunch of others. You see the Henri Richard jersey, a Patrick Waugh jersey, the 170-inch TV here at Boston Pizza, Clairview. $5 off medium pizzas, $1 off tankards of Molson and Coors Light, $5.50 shots. Benny Thomson, $5.50 shot. Everybody.
Shot. It's a good song.
Trying to stay warm on a chilly Saturday, although pleasant. Yeah. With the sun out. Really quickly, I do have some lines. They're the same as what I rattled off earlier. For the Kraken, Beniers with Marchman and Eberle, Stevenson between McCann and Tolvanen, Gaudreau with Catton and Kakko, who makes his return, and then Wright between Cartier and Winterton. On defense for Seattle, Dunn with Larson, Lindgren with Montour, Alexiak with Evans, Joey Decord starts in goal. I have not seen anything different from the Oilers when it comes to their lineup. Did you see anything different?
No. Looks like
I did not. So for how they practiced, it looks like that's how they're going to go. McDavid between Savoy and Hyman, Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Mangiapane, Nugent Hopkins with Henrique, and Janmark Lazar back in action with Frederick and Clattenburg. Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Regula, Kulak with Emerson, no Tomashek. Your goalies are Stu Skinner and Joey Decord. Any final thoughts, Benny Thompson?
Anytime Leon Draisaitl goal tonight is what I'm betting. So let's see if the Oilers turn around what was a bad game on Tuesday, and see if they can get back to playing how they were in Florida.
Yeah, that I think Jay Milne, glue guy, who was on the hangout yesterday, called it the LOL parlay if we could have made that happen. So well done, glue guy.
That would have been great.
Awesome as always. All right, let's see if we have any text to wrap things up. This text actually out of Calgary says, what do you guys think of the Avs wearing the Nordiques jerseys versus Montreal? I love it.
Yep.
I love it. That is a great color combination, seriously. And I bet people at Bell Center absolutely enjoying it. Some would probably be sour a little bit, but in general, I think they did it right too, Benny. No variations. It stays true to those really nice bright blue Nordiques jerseys of the past. So I like it. I like it a lot, and I like that the Whalers and Nordiques jerseys were featured in the Canes Avs game a few weeks ago. Let's go to Greg, the sound guy. I think I'm going to give the final word to Greg. Says, good morning, boys. This one's for Cass. What would be the player mindset after sitting on that loss for a few days? Does the shock of it wear off and it's business as usual, or the pissed offness build and they're chomping at the bit to blow up an opportunity? Have a great show, guys. That was from Greg, the sound guy. I think, what did Cass say? He kind of said enough is enough. Old cliches, dig in, simplify, all that stuff. So, the game's in Colorado, not Montreal. My bad. There it is on the big-ass TV here. So I'm sure fans at Ball Arena are enjoying it. Pardon me. Thank you, PJ. Appreciate that very, very much. 11 games on the schedule. Oilers and Kraken coming up next. Benny Thompson, good stuff as always, my friend.
Likewise. See you in 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to enjoy some of the game day specials. They have the holiday playlist menu as well happening at every BP location. Shout out to Lisa, Jaden, Sarah, and the entire crew here. And to everyone that has shown up, all the nasties, and more people trickling in. Come on down if you're not doing anything. and hang out with us. We're going to have a lot of fun this afternoon. Can the Oilers get off the schneid and pick up a big win against the Seattle Kraken? We shall see. A big thank you to Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network for hopping on yesterday. Had a chance to catch up with him, get some stuff on the Kraken, and big thank you to everybody who watched and listened. We appreciate you very, very much. For Matty Kassian, for Benny Thomson, I'm Todd Gazzola saying enjoy the Oilers and Kraken. Ciao for now.